Hello, everyone, and welcome to the If We Be Friends Roundtable, the cast. I'm Harry Downey, the producer and the host for this endeavour, and I'm joined by...
I'm Melina, and I play Quinn Burrows.
I'm Alexander, and I play Tim Roth.
My name is Josiah Miles, and I play Max.
I'm Caroline. I played Maya in If We Be Friends.
My name's Bethany, and I played Molly Robinson.
And I'm Charlie. I played Theo Hawkes in If We Be Friends.
So let's start with the big question. What is your favourite film?
I would say my favorite film is Interstellar. And it's all because of the Hans Zimmer soundtrack, 100%. And I'm obsessed with astrophysics. So yeah, Interstellar, 100%.
My favourite film is The World's End by Edgar Wright because I love Edgar Wright.
Tough question, but I have to say, so I've got three because it changes all the time. So Good Will Hunting, which is something that is a really big inspiration for me, and then also Whiplash, which is something that really shows how I like to try and approach my acting. And then I've also got Warrior, which has got Tom Hardy in it. It got a lot of acclaim when it came out, but not a lot of people went to see it. And then when it came out on Netflix, it kind of got a cult following. So those are my three big ones, yeah.
The one I always come back to is A Philadelphia Story with Katharine Hepburn, Jimmy Stewart and Cary Grant, mainly because it's those three. But that's my comfort film. It's the one I put on when I've had a really bad day or it's raining and there's nothing else. And it always never fails to make me feel better.
I'm going to say it's a bit of a corny one. I like a bit of corn. It's The Mummy Returns.
Oh!
I know it sounds like a weird choice, but it's got everything. It's got action, it's got comedy, it's got romance, it's got cheese. It's just all around.
My favourite film is About Time. It just makes me cry every time I watch it. In a good way. I feel like I feel all the emotions I have in like 2 hours. So, yeah, I love it.
Who or what was your inspiration to go into acting?
I have three different answers for this, but I'll keep them short. First is Scarlett Johansson. I was obsessed with her when I was a child, and I watched Lost in Translation perhaps when I was a bit too young, but it really set me on the path of like, wow, film acting is crazy. And then my second answer would be Johnny Depp, because I've been obsessed with him since I was a child, and really anything Tim Burton related, actually. I used to just be obsessed with the claymation films, and then they, developed into the live action ones. And Johnny Depp is a massive influence. And then third is actually Wicked. I saw it in the West End when I was 8 years old. That was just, I think that was the big turning point. That was me realizing, yeah, this is what I want to do 100%, just act all the time. So, yeah.
I love that answer so much. Mine's quite similar, actually. But when it came to, I guess, say, screen acting, I absolutely fell in love with David Tennant's performance, the 10th Doctor.
Yes!
I think David Tennant is an amazing actor, and the way he played that role, he was so into it, and it came so naturally. And it's so weird because it's not like a normal role, because it's science fiction, and it's like he said all the lines like wibbly wobbly, timey wimey, like he was so used to it, because those are not normal lines. Exactly. I was like, how are you saying this so naturally, like, and so well done? Like, it's literally amazing. So I was watching it in awe, and I was like, and it came out every single Saturday, and I used to like grab the TV guide, the little TV guide,
yeah,
and I just circled Doctor Who, and I was like, Doctor Who, 7 p.m, BBC One, David Tennant. It was the chemistry he had with all of his companions and all the other actors that he had on screen was just amazing.
And he said, I don't want to go.
My second part of the answer, I'll keep this a bit short, but when it came to theatre, kind of theatrical, my first ever like theatrical performance, big kind of budget, was Wicked as well, same as me. Yeah. I watched Wicked, and there's this song called Defying Gravity, and I remember being of like what was happening on stage. I was like, is this real? And I think I was like 10 when I watched it, and I genuinely believed she was flying.
Exactly.
And that was the moment I literally said to myself, I was like, I want to make other people feel this way. Like, exactly. I want to be stood on a stage or stood on screen, and the way that actors made me feel, and the way that their performances educated me or made me feel as a person, or made me think as a person, or maybe change as a person after watching it, I would love to do that one day, to tell a story, but tell it so well and play a character with so much complexity and honesty that it makes someone watching it think and feel. And it also tells you a lot about yourself as well, obviously, like being an actor. So yeah.
It all started when I watched Good Will Hunting, and I saw that 2 weeks before I was meant to perform my monologue in my GCSE drama. And at that point, I'd never really, got to grips with anything that I was doing apart from acting. And I kind of took it seriously after I saw that, because obviously it's a great film. The acting's great. It's written by Matt Damon and Ben Affleck, but it was the age that they were at that point when they made it that was really inspiring for me, because I thought, if they can do it, I can do it. And once I did this bit more research, I realized, oh, there's great writing in it. It's got a great director behind it. It's got a great cast. They wrote it when they were similar to age that I was, or started writing it when they were that age. And I just thought, yeah, that's something that I can definitely do. And it showed me that a combination of a lot of things have to come together in order to make a really good film. And I think it showed how multidisciplined you've got to be. You can't just have one thing. If you want to be an actor, you kind of have to be a good writer, or you're a good performer, or you're a good singer. It can vary depending on what the project is. But that for me was the biggest thing.
Mine was actually my nan, weirdly enough, and my mum. They both sort of did a lot of stage work. Well, they were dancers. Obviously, I'm not really much of a dancer, but the acting side, they used to take me to like plays a lot when I was little, like a lot. So it's just always just sort of been an interest, and just carried on through school, through uni, and into everyday life. Yeah.
I just remember watching 1963 Cleopatra with Elizabeth Taylor on repeat until I broke the tape when I was about 8. So I think that's probably what got plug in film for me.
I always loved Anne Hathaway. Bit random. This is the first one that comes to mind because Les Mis is one of my favourite films, and she's brilliant in it. She sings, she acts, and she's in like loads of films that little girls grow up with, Princess Diaries, all that sort of thing. So yeah, probably Anne Hathaway.
What is the best part about your role, whether it's as something as great as their sort of like their backstory, the way they are as a character, or even just their costume, like something as minute as that? What is the best part about the role that you guys portray?
Oh, wow. There's a lot I could say about why I love Quinn. Quinn is, from the moment that I read the initial character description before most of the script had been created, I was like, I'm going to find a way to play Quinn. It was the connection I had with their grief. It was overwhelming almost, because I had just gone through a year full of really heavy grief, and I just created a music film as my dissertation for university on healing from grief. And so the fact that Quinn's role came along quite shortly after that, it felt almost written in the stars in a way. And I was like, Quinn, I like you, I understand you. And then it did turn out when Amy, love Amy, when Amy had posted the costume designs and the ideas for the characters, I click on the Quinn link and I see it's all things in my own wardrobe, and I'm like, oh cool, this makes things so much easier. Oh my gosh. And so like it's kind of funny that my two answers are the examples you gave, but it really is that sense of grief, and then also the ease of costuming on that was brilliant, because it just felt even more meant to be the moment I put on my own clothes to go act as this other character. I really connected to Quinn.
I remember when we did the first initial read through, when we got the first kind of preview of the script, I took the role as Tim, and he seemed like this character who was really, really annoyed, and he was quite horrible. But I kind of saw where he was coming from. he is quite bitchy, but I think he uses that kind of bitchiness and horribleness to kind of mask his vulnerability, because he kind of makes himself out to be this righteous, oh, I'm the best, but he's not actually. And I feel like if anybody or any of the other characters tries to challenge him, he'll kind of be quite defensive in a way. And I think it's done really well in the costume as well. I mean, Amy is a fantastic costume designer, and the kind of red and the grey, the contrasting colours of his kind of confusion as well. These people are quite horrible. Not all of them, but they've all done something. They've all played a part in this play, which isn't good. And he's there, and he's the only one who has the balls enough to go, do you know what?
This is BS.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just like, I don't need to be with you guys any longer. You guys are in my past now. Why am I here? Exactly.
And I feel like he's tried to move on, but there is a bit inside of him that wants to reconnect, and that's why he did turn up.
So what immediately drew me to Max was his way with words. There was something about him that I really drew to his voice, and I think a lot of people will relate with Max because he wants to be able to stand up to people and stand up for himself, and he hasn't had that opportunity before. And I think that's what really drew me to him, was his voice. He had a very distinct way of being about him that I didn't see in other characters, for me at least. And I felt like that there was a sense of chemistry there, and I just felt like it was kind of the best role for me to be able to do, because I could feel that it was more tangible for me, and there was an element of maturity with him where he can let things go and he can bottle them up. And he knows the flow of how to go into that emotion and then come back out and go to the other side. And that's what really attracted me, the duality of him. And I hope that comes across in If We Be Friends.
I think for Maya, it's that her relationships with the other characters are so complicated and diverse. That her relationship with her brother Theo is rocky, to say the least, but that she, other than that, she seems to have quite a generous disposition and has a lot of kind of interesting dynamics with the other people in that group, and it was really lovely, I think, between certainly the six of us that shared scenes together a lot to kind of explore those dynamics. That was a really lovely thing to do.
Again, it was this dynamics with everyone, because I was basically playing the villain about a lot of the time. There wasn't really many people who didn't seem to piss off during this time at Greenwich. See, that was probably my favourite part, and the relationship he had with his sister and Max in particular, really enjoyed. So I'm generally quite a nice person, so it was nice to be a nice person for a bit.
So when I read the character descriptions, I was instantly drawn to Molly, because she's the girl I aspire to be, but slightly less maybe catty, just a little bit. I just loved that she just shut people down. You know, they're talking rubbish, she'd just be like, no, not having that. She knew what she wanted, she went and she got it, no fuss about it. That's the person I want to be, that's the person I want to play. I just think that's how everyone should be. No nonsense.
What would you say within If We Be Friends, what would you say is your favorite scene as your character, or even just your favorite scene of the entire script?
I have two top answers for this. Quinn's scene with Miss J, and Quinn doesn't say much in this scene, but I think that's part of the beauty of it, because Andromeda just delivered Miss J fantastically, and that is an understatement. And when I walked in to set that day and sat down and talked with her immediately, I didn't say hi to anybody else. I just went off to the side with Andromeda and to really bond with her. You know, we bonded in the matter of seconds, which I've just never really done, especially with somebody as professional as her. And we rehearsed together when we got to the set, and the moment we started recording, it really felt like my own mother was telling me the things she was telling me. And I found it really hard to compose myself when the camera stopped rolling. And that I think that this scene and the experience of filming that scene as well is going to stick with me for the rest of my career as a major highlight. Then my second option would probably be I only say this because I really knew this scene. Shout out to Matt for being an excellent scene partner and an excellent Warren. But when we had done the initial read-throughs of the scene that we had together, where we kind of are bickering and there's banter and arguments, but then we make up, that scene, I was looking forward to filming that from the moment we got on set, because that was what we had read through over Zoom to audition for these characters.
I like the donut scene. I think it was the bit where we kind of see Tim. I think Oliver's quite a clever character as well, and it was the bit where Tim kind of gets angry because Oliver cracks Tim a little bit, but then Tim uses his kind of psychological manipulation to kind of get him back, because Tim basically sees people's weaknesses and uses their weaknesses to torment them. He has a passion about trains, but Tim has like no interest or no passion. He's like, oh, I wish he would just like shut up. So he's like, oh, I punch you in the face, don't okay me. And I think it was really nice to play the dynamic between, obviously David is such a good actor as well, the dynamic between those two characters, because I think they are two really good friends as well.
There's a bit where I act drunk, and I always enjoy acting drunk. I don't know why. All of my inhibitions kind of go with it. So that helps definitely. But I'd say that was my favorite time shooting, because everyone was together. We were all brought together in that one moment, and that was really fun. My favorite scene performing was probably my scene with Theo. It's a very good scene, and playing alongside Charlie, who plays Theo, was always something that we had kind of romanticized over, I guess you could say, in a purely platonic way, where it was more a thing of, we were desperate to do that scene. We were just waiting for that scene to come up. And then as soon as we did, and then we did a few takes of it. And I remember even going through the takes and thinking, I don't want to stop doing this. I want to just keep doing it and keep doing it, because it's such a good scene for those two characters. And that was by far, I think, my favorite part.
I would have to say the fight between me and Joe, or me and Max. First, I really liked Joe. Me and Joe sort of, he was the first person I proper sort of got to know and became friends with. And then a couple of days later, I was that close to him, spitting in his face and then punching him. The heat and the energy in that scene, I loved it. And again, working with Joe was a treat.
Favourite scene to act is probably my fight scene with Charlie, just because it was so cathartic to shout all the swear words at somebody, because that is not something I would ever do in real life. I also really enjoyed myself and Joe, who had to conduct an entire burgeoning relationship without ever talking to each other. That was actually a really fun acting experience. I really enjoyed as an activity. But probably my favourite to watch is Melina's monologue at the end. That when, as the camera then pans around everybody else's reaction, that's a really beautiful shot.
My favourite one to do, I thought the one with Charlie and I, when we did it was us two and then Billy and Leanne. They were having this ridiculous argument, and I was just like trying to stifle this, laughter, and we were sort of like elbowing each other sort of thing when our characters were supposed to kind of not be getting on. It was kind of like a turning point. I feel like for Molly, it was kind of like when she kind of relaxed about the hunt thing, and when Theo and Molly became a bit more like, we'll leave it in the past kind of thing, and it was all just, everything just relaxed a bit, and it was all kind of like being like a school kid again, and it was just quite fun to do. I felt like it was quite funny to watch the other two as well.
A lot of it was pretty natural. It was really fun acting. Just laughing.
I was going to say, in the end, just let that escalate and escalate and escalate.
If you could describe If We Be Friends in one word, what word would that be?
Comforting.
Puzzling.
Maturity.
Complex.
Whirlwind.
Real.
So obviously with this film, it's about 6 years, have gone by in the past. So what were you guys doing 6 years ago then?
Oh God. So 15-year-old Melina was the worst version of Melina that has existed. I was a sophomore in high school, or end of my freshman year, beginning of my sophomore year. I was just a careless teenager, really. And it was just, I was like moody all the time, and I wasn't taking acting as seriously as I needed to. And So, 15-year-old Melina can stay in 2015.
Doing my GCSEs in 2015. And I was doing drama, and I was still just so scared of taking opportunities. I was a bit like Tim, to be honest. I'm not gonna lie. I was quite, I'm saying this now, I was quite bitchy and like, because I just didn't know like how to deal with things. Like I felt like really like alone. Like I had friends, but like, I don't know if this makes sense, but I just found it hard to be myself at school because it was such a controlled environment.
Yeah.
And I was obviously getting bullied as well for like being me, and I was not trying to. I was trying to accept who I was and what I wanted to do with my life, and I was just a bit confused at the time. And I just kind of dealt with it by like snapping at people and not being very, very nice, because I was just like so confused at such a young age. I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I knew I wanted to go into acting, but I was also like so embarrassed by that, because I was just so embarrassed and I had the fear of being judged. And all those types of things that I said before. Like I said, obviously in my previous answer, I would tell myself to don't be afraid and just to go for it.
6 years ago, I was probably about to finish or had finished my BTEC at Chicken Shed Theatre Company, who are an amazing theatre company. And at that point, I was debating whether or not to go to drama school or university, and inevitably I decided to go to the university. But yeah, I was just finishing my BTEC, and I had absolutely no idea what I was going to do. And you know, even to do something like this it's pretty mental. I still have to kind of pinch myself a little bit, but it seems like a pretty good dream.
I don't think I was that different. I was coming up to finishing school, trying to kind of apply to university, which is always fun. You couldn't pay me enough money to go back and do that again, I think. But yeah, I think I was just I was like Beth, probably as stressed out then as I am now. That hasn't really changed, just at a constant level. But I think I certainly, a bit like Charlie, suppose, cared a lot more about everything else around me and what other people thought of me than I do now. I was far more of a people pleaser. That probably made me a better person, but that's the difference. But I found a photo of like myself when I first went off to uni, and I was like, God, I'm such a baby, and I thought I was so grown up, and I just looked like a child.
And I was just finishing or starting. I was doing my last year, my A-levels. Yeah, I was quite a different person then, to say the least. I think by my second year, I'd actually dropped 3 out of my 4 subjects, and the only one I'd left was drama, which luckily for me got me to drama school, and then luckily for me just kept me on the right path.
6 years ago I was 15, and I don't think I had any idea of who I was or who I wanted to be, so I was just being everyone. You know, with like every kind of different group of friends, you're a different version of yourself. And I find it, actually, I think as an actor, this might sound really pretentious, but I think as an actor, you do adopt different versions of yourself, because, I mean, you should be kind of looking at other people and seeing how people act differently with different types of people. And then I think that kind of subconsciously affects your relationships. I think I was way more confident than I am now, which is weird. I think I just kind of weirdly kind of thought nothing could ever go wrong. I think I was just very conscious of being what people wanted me to be rather than myself.
What is everyone's sort of favorite story they have on set? So whether it was on or off, or the funniest, the best, the warmest, if there was a particular story that makes you think fond memories of the film, what would it be? I think Melina's got an answer. Could you see that?
I've got it. You know I do. It literally just popped into my head. We had gone out to Greenwich University, or University of Greenwich, in the middle of the night, and it was I know Bryn was there and Matt was there and Joe was there, and I just remember we sat down, and I have the voice notes still, and we just all started singing, "Those are my mother's favorite flowers that you're desecrating." And we were like, let me tell you, we had some of the most beautiful harmonies. It was brilliant. It was
I
brilliant. We
didn't
were
know this
just singing at the
existed.
top of our lungs in the middle of the night some of the lines from the show or from the film, and it was so good. And I remember that so fondly. Sometimes I listen to the voice notes and I'm like, what? You can hear the moment when the security guard comes by because he needs to lock the gates because it was that late. It's pretty funny.
When in the pre-production phase, I had taken over the TikTok for like a week or so, and I had like a great time doing it. But I had this one TikTok that went viral, and it was one to Doja Cat's songs. I can't remember the specific song it was called. It was like, it goes, "Come play with your friends." So I made the
Kiss
first,
Me More.
Kiss Me More. Yeah, that's it. So I made the first video of me in my living room just here. Where are we filming? Greenwich. And then and then I put that as a reel on Instagram, and then it went like crazy viral in like 20 minutes. It got like 1,000 views, and I was like, oh my god, that's so cool. And I was always thinking I'd love to recreate this with everyone when we're finally on set. And then I did it. We did it. I think it was the day in which everyone was first there, and Claire was there as well. Claire, our mentor, Claire Cahill. And I was like, does anyone mind if I like make a TikTok of the click thing that I did? And we did it, and then it got like 5,000 views in like an hour, and it was just the fact that like, because I'd worked so hard on the TikToks as well, trying to get like some publicity for the film so we could get more money for the crowdfunding, and because I was doing it alone, like I was just doing it in my bedroom alone, and it was the time where I was finally we were all together. I was doing a TikTok with everyone, and it just felt like a very wholesome moment, and it went viral again, and it was just like, I just really enjoyed doing it.
One of my favorite parts was rapping on day one, because we were filming in a park, and the sun was just about to set, and we had all met each other for the first time, and I felt like that was a really good moment to be a part of. And I don't think I necessarily felt it at that point, but I felt a sense of poignance at that point, and to kind of reflecting back on it, I think that was really good because it was at a point where we had just started and we were just about to go on this little journey, if you will, and we had never really met, and it all went better than I was expecting it to go. I don't think I had any expectations with it. I tried not to. And so at the end of that day, I felt, okay, well, you know, I could do this. This is not difficult. Everybody's lovely. Okay. And I remember kind of waiting and thinking, oh God, like dreading the next day and thinking, oh God, I hope that goes well. I hope that. But then there was a point where I was sitting with Charlie, who plays Theo, and we were just sitting and chatting. And I thought, no, this is right. This is okay. I can relax now. I can not relax, but I can be accepting of that moment. So that's one point. And then I think rapping was really good because that was just kind of like, oh, we did it. And it was like, okay, now what? And we had grown as a unit collectively together. And I think that was really interesting to see how everyone kind of grew out of themselves and became more confident in who they were. And I hope that they take that with them outside of just this course. So I think that was good.
There were so many. I'm trying to, I like different reasons. There was a lovely moment, and it's not necessarily very professional of us, but there was a lovely moment on one of the days when, I don't know why, but everyone was really tired and it was the only day we'd had inside. And I think every single member of the cast napped for a solid 20 minutes together.
Yeah.
That was quite a nice bonding experience. And we all woke up at the same time.
Like, what's going on?
Like,
you guys had a nap with like, and you.
When we were trying to get all of Miss J's kind of individual shots done, there was a 40-minute gap where we weren't needed. And she came up to us, came up to somebody after us and was like, you all had such a professional attitude on set, like there wasn't a peep out of you. And we were like, yeah, because we were asleep.
I have a couple. One was when we wrapped. Oh, such a good feeling. Because there was points in the week where I thought it wasn't going to happen, and someone, probably you, Harry, yelled that's a wrap, and I was like, oh my god, we did it.
It was Joe that yelled it. I can't believe you thought it was.
Was it?
Yeah.
I knew it was one of you guys, but the relief that like spread over every single person was just crazy. It was a really good feeling. And then we took pictures and we had a laugh and we had a hug, and yeah, it was really nice. And then we went and did dinner together, which is one of my other favorite moments, was having dinner with everybody each evening, because I sat with somebody different each night, and it was really nice to just chat to people like one-on-one about sort of where they come from, what they do, that sort of thing, because you didn't really get to do all of that when you're on set because there's so much else going on. So that was really nice. And then my last one was on the day we did the shoot with Andromeda on the Wednesday when we were inside. We had loads of time in the morning, and a couple of you were stretching, and I was like, let's just do a group stretch. So I led like the yoga stretchy thing, and it was just so much fun because it was like being back in drama in GCSE, and like all the boys are like, I can't do it, and all the girls there in splits, like it was just really fun.
One of my ones offset was you were there actually. It was me, I think it was me, you, Caroline, Beth. I think it might maybe someone else, sorry if I forgot who it was. But we all just sort of sat down, just all telling stories about our lives and getting to know each other. And I think obviously with COVID as well, it was nice just to meet new people, to go through that sort of formality again of getting to know people. Unfortunately, everyone in the group was lovely, so it was actually a pleasure to get to know everyone. On set, probably filming my scene with Joe. That was a lot of fun doing that, and seeing sort of the crew's reaction as well was quite was lovely as well to see their thoughts on it and hear their reactions, which made it was just a very fun scene to film. So I thank Talia for that as well.
Quickly ask a question, is that all right? Can I ask one?
You can ask one, go for it.
Yeah, this is a question that I've just been wondering. When I finished filming, I found it really, really hard to let go of what we had just done, because I feel like it was such an intense week and we had worked so hard on our characters and who we are as people, and it was just basically a roller coaster of a week, and I felt I couldn't stop thinking about it when we had finished. Usually, when you do something and you can move on, I was finding it quite hard to move on, especially obviously being me and also as Tim. So I was just wondering, after a project or after you do something, if you're thinking about it, how do you let it go?
For this project, it was interesting for me because I feel that the ending of the acting section of this production, because I don't know, no, you guys do know this. I'm working on the soundtrack, and I made the music for the trailer with Joe, and I've also got a song in the works for the end credits. And so the ending of the acting part for me was a bit of a blurred line, because we were told we were wrapped, and then the next morning super early, I wake up to a message from Melissa saying that Matt and I are needed for a reshoot, and I'm like, oh, okay. And so I throw on my clothes as fast as I can and run up the hill in Greenwich Park, and we just shoot a few other things. So I think it was then that like I was really came to terms that like the acting part was over. I stayed another night in Greenwich, and that night Talia, Jeannie, and I stayed up super late, and I got started on the song that I was writing for the end, using some of the quotes that Talia didn't get to put in the final edit of the script. And I had managed to write half of it that night, and I think that really helped. Starting another project really helped me cut off the end of the last one. It was being able to dive head first into something else. And especially because then once I ended up at an Airbnb, I went straight back to work as my job as a music director and dove headfirst into that. And it really helps with the not feeling super sad, because it was sad, like everybody departing, going off to their places in the UK. But being able to just realize that there's more things to create, I think, is really what helps me not be overwhelmed by that sadness, because it's all right to feel that sadness. I think it's necessary too, but being overwhelmed by it it's preventable.
I think as an actor it's different, because there is an element of like, well, you're done now. So you can be involved in it, but it's not your job. So you don't know about all the things that went wrong and then got fixed along the way of post-production and things like that. So there's an element of like, you almost kind of forget about it, not in a it never happened way, but in like, it's not something you have to keep working on and being on top of. But I often think back to it, and I look at pictures and everything, and it makes me smile. But I was very quickly shunted back into my normal life with work and stuff. So I think it's just kind of like, you had that little week of a bubble, and then you came home and it all went back to normal. When you go on holiday and then you come back and it's like, oh,
Come back from an army, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like you got to carry on with all that boring shit.
I think as well as an actor, it's always quite important to let the character go, because certainly I think some of the characters we're playing, if you tried to take them with you into your daily life, you would have a major problem. I mean, I think if I had to bring like Maya's level of insecurity and panic into, if I hadn't managed to let that go, I would have had a very nasty couple of months. That's probably sounds quite pretentious, but I think it's easier as an actor to let it go, because when you're in the project, you're not being yourself, and then when you come out of it, you are. I miss the people and the experience dreadfully, and it's weird certainly when I first left, it was weird getting up in the morning and not thinking, oh well, I'll see like Beth and Harry and Amy and Gabrielle and Joe and Billy today, and people like that. So going from being so busy to so not very quickly, or seeing so many people and then so few people was a challenge. But we'll get to see each other again on the 16th, and I'm looking forward to that.
I do think about it quite a bit. I feel like it was a really good experience, and I don't say I hold on to it, but I remember it fondly. I don't know if that's the same thing as holding on to it, but I still do think about it because it was a good time, and it was summer as well. The sun was shining. It was a good vibe. And now it's winter. I think the sort of memories do sort of linger quite a while.
So that's the end of the roundtable interviews. I'd like to thank all the people that are involved in this. So Beth, Caroline, Charlie, Joe, Alex, Melina, and a big massive thank you to all cast and crew who sadly couldn't be at this roundtable interview, but have done fantastic work for the film, and I look forward to seeing them all at the premiere as well as further on within the future. Thank you all so much. You have a good night and take care.